talks to his sister in a way that you think that she may actually listen to him for a change. She may listen to her heart and listen to what he has to say and understand it.
You've always loved your children. More than yourself.
So, wanted to give her just to hang out with her just long enough to have it so that you would think that she may change. But she's got this look on her face where it's just like, that's just who I am. I can't help it. And Lena's a tremendous actress, and that played out beautifully.
Bravo marker.
There's such a kind of basic kid in her still. So I think she sees him in the moment asking her to do something for him.
I beg you. If not for yourself, and for your child.
And she can't do what he said. She can. It's like a kid and she can't do what he tells her to do. Because that would be surrendering.
For Grey Worm, losing her is just like there's nothing left. There's just nothing. He has nothing left now. She has taught him how to be a human being. Like her and Dany have nurtured him into being human. And then it's just taken away.
Hi everyone, it's Charlie. Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 5, the Daenerys and Cersei apocalypse is upon us, so we gotta break down some of these new previews that they've released. You look at a lot of the stuff that's going on with Cersei, and it seems like she feels she's already beaten Daenerys, so what is the diabolical things that Cersei could do to possibly beat Daenerys? Because from the look of Daenerys in a lot of these previews, she is completely unhinged, and as Grey Worm says, the leader of her army, one of the most fearsome fighting forces on the planet, the Unsullied, he says because they lost Missandei, he's completely lost his humanity now. So everything seems like it's getting ready to go up in flames for Team Daenerys. So if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get the Game of Thrones videos. There's a new round of that HBO Now giveaway too. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment on the video. You think of the coming battle and how bad it looks like it's going to get for both sides, for both Cersei and Daenerys, and you think about what Sansa has done recently, starting her secret plot to get rid of Daenerys. And it reminds you of something that Littlefinger would do. Chaos is a ladder. There's opportunity in chaos, and it seems like Sansa is trying to use that to the advantage of the Stark family. Even though it seems like she's very selfish about this, I think she's all about the Stark family winning the Game of Thrones. She clearly wants to put Jon on the Iron Throne, and even after the episode and all those featurettes, they talked about how Sansa's gambit is that she's trying to play Tyrion into a situation that will help her do that. So she told Tyrion knowing that he would start talking to other people about it, so she's trying to create a certain amount of chaos, so to speak, that will help her accomplish her goal. But that's all separate from what's going on with Daenerys, Cersei, Grey Worm, Missandei in this final moment here, where Daenerys looks like she definitely wants to burn them all. So think about it this way, Daenerys has lost almost everything and everyone she's cared about the last couple of episodes, the last season, so to speak. Grey Worm just confirmed he's lost everything that made him human. So the two of them together just seems like they're getting ready to make a whole lot of really bad decisions, and you have all Daenerys' advisors, including Jon Snow, seeming like they're trying to do everything they can to pull them back from the brink. Mostly Daenerys, because Daenerys commands Grey Worm. Therein lies the diabolical nature of Cersei's plan to get rid of Daenerys, by getting Daenerys to undermine herself in the worst possible way. Whether or not you think that Cersei is as smart as the show is making her out to be, you also have to remember that Qyburn is a diabolical genius, so I think a lot of Cersei's good ideas come from things that Qyburn tells her. We'll spend the last couple of episode videos talking about George's ending and what we think the show did with the characters and how they may have changed George's ending and what might be similar to the ending in the books. But either way, it seems like George's ending was always headed for a situation like this, where you have Daenerys against Cersei for King's Landing and the Iron Throne. So right now, Daenerys' forces basically are setting up a blockade of King's Landing, cutting off Cersei's supply lines. Daenerys' forces during the War Council meeting were trying to get her to wait a hot minute because you have all this support coming in from around the Seven Kingdoms, and that's a really important piece of Daenerys becoming queen of the Seven Kingdoms. She needs the love of the people. She needs their support, but she also does need reinforcements for her army. But the reason why she didn't want to wait is because she was worried that Cersei would also use that time to bolster her forces, just making the inevitable final battle take that much longer. So she wanted to hit Cersei before she could replenish her forces. But because of that, there's the idea that Daenerys is just moving a little too fast for everything to go the way that she wants them to go. Right now, Cersei has the Golden Company, about 20,000 troops, the Lannister soldiers, the upgraded giant scorpions lining the walls of King's Landing, wildfire, and the commoners living in King's Landing with the threat of collateral damage. Remember in previous seasons, Daenerys kept saying she didn't want to be Queen of the Ashes. That was a big thing during season 7 too. Her advisors are also kind of reminding her of that during season 8. The way they explained it during episode 4 is that Daenerys and Jon Snow lost half of their forces. I think that's more of a convenience so that people watching the show can understand half. Oh, they lost half. That sounds simple. So Battle of the Mad Queens, it seems like they want to stack the odds 50-50 in either person's favor. Like it could go either way. They actually want to make you think like Cersei does have a chance that she could beat Daenerys. But I think a lot of her plan hinges on Daenerys becoming more unhinged and Cersei just pushing her over the edge into a very self-defeating place. We don't really know if wildfire can hurt Daenerys just because it hasn't been tested yet, and on the show, she's supposed to be fireproof, even though in the books it isn't really a big thing. It was just that one time when she hatched the dragons, the way George R. R. Martin explains it. So just going by the show's rules, it seems like Daenerys would be at least a little bit safe against wildfire. But you look at all these shots of Cersei looking down in the city, and you don't see anybody walking around. Remember during last week's episode where Qyburn was talking to Cersei about letting the citizens of King's Landing into the Red Keep for their quote-unquote protection?
Our message was well received then.
Your people have heard the usurper is coming. They are grateful for your protection within the walls of the Red Keep.
Very interesting then that at the end of the episode when Tyrion is trying to talk some sense into Cersei and says, you don't care about the people and they don't care about you.
I know you don't care about your people.
Then why would Cersei let them into the Red Keep? Because that would mean that if Daenerys were going to try and take the Red Keep, she would have to come through the citizens to do it. What is the most important thing about Daenerys holding the Iron Throne, becoming Queen of the Seven Kingdoms? The people have to love her, and if she plows through them on her dragon, there's no way that the people will ever accept her as queen. So I think that Cersei is banking on this, and she's going to be trying to use wildfire to her advantage in this situation. So if Daenerys really does wind up burning King's Landing to the ground, whether or not she intends to do that when she's doing all this, that would be Cersei's really easy way to get Daenerys to defeat herself. So you look at all these other preview images, you have Varys and Jon Snow, some Northerners, looking like it's Varys bringing Jon Snow to Daenerys to try and talk some sense into her before she does something really rash before the battle. Because look at these other shots of Grey Worm and Tyrion in Daenerys' throne room at Dragonstone, and this picture of Daenerys in the map table room looking very different than you've seen her in a long, long time. Her hair's down, it's very unkempt, giving her an air of the Mad King, but you look at her face though, she seems more like the sad queen in this picture. Less Mad Queen, more sad queen, but the reason her hair is all unkempt like this is because Missandei isn't there to braid it for her, R.I.P. Tyrion here in the throne room looks triggered, like he just heard Daenerys say something so shocking he can barely believe it, possibly further turning him to Sansa's secret plot to get rid of Daenerys. Because remember, during that conversation with Varys, he really still wanted to be Team Daenerys. I still believe that she's going to do the right thing, and Varys is just completely dead set against it. No, we definitely need to put Jon Snow on the throne, and if Daenerys becomes a problem, we will quote-unquote deal with it. Remember way back during season 7 where Daenerys gave him that ultimatum, you served my brother, you wanted to put him on the Iron Throne, I will burn you if you turn against me. So I definitely think that that's Varys telling us that he's going to get burned sometime in the next 2 episodes.
And I swear this, if you ever betray me, I'll burn you alive.
You look at this other shot of Grey Worm in the throne room, it seems like he's part of this same scene where Tyrion is so shocked, and it seems like he heard the same terrible thing that Daenerys may have said about the upcoming battle. But because he's so detached from his humanity now, whatever WTF thing she said doesn't seem to faze him in the least, which I think is actually a really dangerous thing. Because remember way back to season 3 when Daenerys got the Unsullied and Kraznys was trying to explain them to her, they'll do anything you want. They're basically like robots. You can use this command rod like a joystick and they will do anything you command. Anything, no matter how bad it is. So if Daenerys does go full-on no mercy, then Grey Worm and the Unsullied are really dangerous in this upcoming fight. Because the Jon Snow character is so internalized, you look at some of these other preview images of him on the battlefield getting ready for things to start, and it's kind of hard to pick what's going on in his brain. But given the context of the other previews, it just seems like he, along with the other people that are around Daenerys, are worried about how things are going to go because she doesn't seem to be listening to them. It should go without saying that I definitely think that Cersei is going to die in the last couple of episodes, so whether or not she's successful in her plan to make Daenerys go full Mad Queen, I think she's definitely going down hard. But a lot of people, because Jaime is going back to her, are thinking that he might be the person to kill her because we're still thinking a little bit about the Valonqar prophecy. There are a lot of bigger prophecies that it seems like thus far the show has skipped over. Azor Ahai is just one of the bigger ones people have been talking about. I do think that they'll find a way to fulfill some of those prophecies in a very roundabout way through the last couple of episodes, but not in the way that people expected. So based on what Nikolai Coster-Waldau has said about Jaime's actions and why he went back to Cersei, it doesn't sound like he's going back with the intent to kill her. It just seems like he wants to be with her during this big battle time. There was this really important quote that he had with Cersei where he said, "Nothing else matters except us." So when he said a long time ago, "I want to die in the arms of someone I love," I feel like regardless of what he felt that person was in that moment or how much he loved Brienne when he was with her, it feels like the show is bending over backwards to get him back to King's Landing so that Cersei can be that person for him.
Is that Estamont? Tarth, Sir Jaime. The Sapphire Isle.
So because the show is trying to do a version of George's book ending for A Dream of Spring, I think given whatever big WTF moments happen, that we'll spend a lot of time sort of backtracking, trying to see how the show tried to foreshadow that. But because they're moving the plot so fast during season 8, I think it's getting a little confusing for people to follow, especially with Daenerys. Like, there are a lot of Daenerys fans out there that are like, wow, why is she going so full Mad Queen so quickly? This seems like she just fell off the deep end suddenly. One way or another, I think we'll know for sure by the end of episode 5 what Daenerys' ultimate fate is going to be, whether or not she comes back for the brink or she goes full Mad Queen. So let me know, do you actually think that Daenerys will go full Mad Queen and quote-unquote burn them all? My episode 5 video will post after it airs, no worries, and obviously a lot of my finale videos will just depend on where everyone winds up at the end of episode 5, and then I'll start talking a little bit more about the prequels, and then obviously we have all the Watchmen stuff that's going to be happening in the fall. I just posted a trailer video for that, so no worries, and the giveaway I'll just leave open till I post my finale trailer video on Monday. So while you